Profound, it's deep where the heart makes sound. One last beat and it might bleed out. I just might leave now, empty these airbags and lie me down. See the lies in your eyes catching up with your mouth. I made my mistakes, of course I never lived them down. You won't let me, left marks on your heart. You will never forget me, condescend me and call me proud. I told you what you need to win and how. I'm a madman now. My worst fears realized, no longer the sad clown, Pagliacci the Pennywise. The point of no return, make them ashes and let them fly. You ain't gon' save them all, so go ahead and just let them die. Murder these emotions, bury them deep inside. If I get any colder, I swear I'ma freeze the shy. All I could do is soldier, marching through a starry night, focused on the end game, finally gon' get it right. Find myself in the light, been fighting for my fucking life, dealing with you fake fucks. I ain't gotta say much, you know what it is, kid. I just wanna blaze up, continue getting rich, bitch, and blow the fucking name up. Built by where I came from, pushed by what I've been through. You deferred my dreams, the reason I resent you. It don't make no sense, you pretend I don't offend you. I'm everything you hate, but if you walked a mile in these shoes, you finally understand why it's not in me to respect you. We come from different fabric, different madness, different venue. We lost our common ground, the bond just wasn't sound. The objective was to come up, and now you bring me down. Now you bring me down.
Crushing me inside.
Cold stares and crooked smiles for what seemed a million miles. Every demon that I let in is out to hunt me down. Burn this jungle up around me, leave the ashes on the ground. Scorched earth, cursed birth, body bags of 4 pounds. This is what we left with, why else would we be desperate? Gunning for each other's heads, wishing everybody dead. Fight the reaper often, but he will never soften. Relentless with his methods, he will put you in a coffin. My mind isn't earned, cause I've already burned. Drowned in the dark matter, mirror shattered, I've learned. You won't take what I've earned, never break what I create. Cause I have made the sacrifices you're afraid to make. My fear is lost potential, being anything but great. Succumbing to the suckers, to the leeches and the hate. Politicians with their speeches in these streets cannot debate. Punch your ballots with these bulletins, you'll run and seal your fate. Democracy's a mockery, only the strongest stay. The weak will fade away, and us, we'll see another day. No matter what another motherfucker has to say, I will never let you hold me in one place. Your problems are your own, it's personal, emotions overblown. Living separate visions, conscience overthrown. I trust none of you bastards, I'm safest when I'm alone. It's sad, I understand it's how it is out on this road. It take a gorilla's grip to hold on to your soul. Brute force to stick to the script and not let it go. You can't slip, one false move and you'll never know. Had you gotten up, how far you go? How far'd you go?
Salutes, 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 salutes to the people. Welcome to Cartel Wives. I am your host, Shy Ill. What is poppin'? Hope everybody's having a good Thursday. We are back at it like bad habits. Y'all already know what it is. Salutes to Old Soul in the chat. Salutes to Old 30 North. Old 30 North for being first. Salutes to Old Soul for being second. And salutes to everybody who walks in the house. If you walk in, please wipe your feet and hit the like button, please. Hit the like button. Make a little contribution. Daniel T in the chat. Salute to Daniel T. Got his hundreds in the chat. Let me throw my hundreds in the chat. Let's get this party started. I would have been here earlier, but I was breaking my head up against StreamYard trying to get this broadcast over other platforms, and it's taking some work, so it took me a while to get over here, but we are here now, and I appreciate you guys being with me. We're gonna hang out for a little while, get into Cartel Wives chapter 13 and chapter 14, because they're both pretty short. I'm thinking of cutting them into two separate videos, not sure yet once it's all said and done. Appreciate everybody that's been here for the lives for the last couple of days. I think this is our third live of the week. We did Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. Would have done Monday, but we had an audition pop up. But we had a good time yesterday, had a good time the day before. Day before we covered Chatting with Stacks. I have edited that video. That video will be dropping maybe tomorrow morning. I dropped the ASMR. If you haven't checked that out, go check out the ASMR video. The girl that whispers and does everything like this. This is how she talks. We can't do that over here. Not yet. I gotta see, if that's the lane that pays for me to do ASMR. But no, we put that out today. We also did the first episode of Finnegan's Take. It was an episode basically him giving us his story, his formative years. That also will be edited and put out sometime this weekend. What else we got coming? We got the Spider-Loke section, speaking about the G-Unit chain and how he claims that 50's story about the Flores twist getting it back is a lie. So I got that video. I'll be dropping that sometime this weekend as well. And here we are with Cartel Wives. Little bit of housekeeping. We have $2 TTS, text to speech, meaning you can donate $2 at the link in the description, and it will give me something that looks like this. Your comment will pop on my screen.
Test user sent $50 test message.
And it'll sound like that. For $5, you can add a link to your donation, and it'll pop up a YouTube video on my screen to react to or listen to right here during the show. So those two things are there. We also have the super thanks, super chat, all that good stuff. Salutes to the chat. JP the Ghost in the building. We in here. Salutes to you, JP the Ghost. We are on and we are popping over here. Please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. I'm looking for a faithful crowd that just wants to see us win. I want to see the concurrent viewers and the likes be up around the same, position numerically. You feel me? So please hit the like button on the way in. And let's get to it, man. We're gonna get to. My name is Shy Ill, by the way, not Chili Reacts, just Shy Ill. Gonna get my name out there nice and clear for everybody to hear me, enunciate. Shy Ill. All right, we've had a couple of problems going on the internet with that, but we're here to remedy all that. Salutes to Old 30 North. He wants us to win. Absolutely, I appreciate you, bro. All right, man. So last week on Cartel Wives, on chapter 11 and 12, we were talking about Pete being in the dungeon over there, and Jay talking to Chapo and ending up going to see his Tío Lupe, and them getting him on tape. And then we got all the way up to Pete's release. Pete getting home to his family, and his family tending to his wounds because it was rough. So now we should be getting the aftermath of that. So let's get right into it. If you have yet to hit the subscribe button, please do. Hit the like button, hit the notification bell so that you are abreast of everything we drop. We drop pretty regularly. We do lives pretty regularly, and we come hang out. Try to get you through a couple of hours of the day with me, and that's how we do it. Salutes to y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all the illest cartel in the game. Let's get to it. Cartel Wives, chapter 13. I'm sure the book is going to say something else, something crazy, chapter 36 or something, but I assure you it's chapter 13. Here we go.
Part 3. In Too Deep. Chapter 11. Sinaloa. Olivia. Chapo had been expanding the Sinaloa cartel's reach into the United States for years. But to keep his machine going, he needed trustworthy associates who knew the U.S. drug trade inside and out. After Junior's meeting with him, Chapo realized, without question, that those men were the Flores brothers.
Mia. Chapo liked Peter and Junior's neat, tidy ledgers, especially the way the numbers added up and kept getting bigger and bigger. He marveled at the fact that Junior and Peter complemented each other. While Junior was a natural at building business relationships, Peter excelled at handling logistics. And he was thrilled that the twins had repaid him more quickly than he'd expected.
Olivia.
You got to look at it. Look at Chapo as a business owner. Somebody in the chat, I believe it was John Bravo in the chat or in the comments, said that Chapo was just a manager at a McDonald's and he made sure everybody did what they had to do down the chain. But look at him as a business owner. What is there? He's used to dealing with guys like himself. He's been dealing with guys like himself for a very long time. All of a sudden, there's these two young kids that are dealing with major amounts of paper, major amounts of work. They handled themselves in a specific manner when Jay met Chapo and tried to get these guys out. It's just a good business deal for him to look at this and see the potential in it. A different kind of animal would have just not seen the potential and disposed of them both immediately. You know what I'm saying? But he saw the potential like a good businessman. Salutes to Sarah Lee on the check-in in the chat. Hundreds in the air. Let me give you some hundreds back. Wow.
El Chapo knew he'd caught two big fish, and to reel them in, he summoned Junior and Peter to a meeting in the mountains not long after Peter came home in May 2005.
It's crazy.
Mia. Peter was so skinny before he and Junior went to Sinaloa to meet with Chapo and Mayo.
I was just
He
thinking
wasn't
that.
himself at...
I was just thinking that he hasn't had the chance to, to recover from what he just went through, and boom, back to business. Shout out Felix Reyes in the chat. What's up, my guy? Salutes to you. Appreciate you being here. Everybody, please hit the like button on the way in. Thank you very much for being here.
At all. Still squinting when the light was too bright, and waking up at all hours because of nightmares.
El Chapo knew he'd caught two big fish, and to reel them in, he summoned Junior and Peter to a meeting in the mountains not long after Peter came home in May 2005.
Mia. Peter was so skinny before he and Junior went to Sinaloa to meet with Chapo and Mayo. He wasn't himself at all, still squinting when the light was too bright, and waking up at all hours because of nightmares. I hear him cry in his sleep, and all I could do was hold him and tell him, "It's going to be okay. You're home, and you're with me." I was scared for him, but I didn't try to change him. What he did for a living was hard to swallow, but quite frankly, I was so in love, I didn't care. I knew being with him meant accepting every part of him. Besides, I could have told him he'd just won the lottery and could move to Europe and be anyone he wanted to be, and it wasn't going to alter the course he was on. He was about to meet with the biggest drug lord in the world, and that was going to change everything.
Olivia. I don't think Mia realized that fully at the time, but I knew it. Once you were working with Chapo, you weren't going to say, "I changed my mind," because he owned you.
That's it.
You had to do whatever you could for the Sinaloa cartel because, otherwise, you'd be shit out of luck. Chapo's people would break down your door and kill your whole family. That's why when Junior and Peter went to Culiacan for their meeting with Chapo, I was truly scared for them. I didn't want to leave Junior's side, but he insisted I wait at home. It's my job to protect you, he said. So please, stay here and just be my girl. After 3 long days, he and Peter returned, and the first picture they painted wasn't pretty.
Mia. Junior had warned Peter about the Cessna landing uphill on that big-ass mountain's dusty airstrip. However, he didn't expect they'd see what they did when they stepped out of the plane. Probably 30 feet in the distance, there was a man tied to a scrubby tree. The sun was beating down on him, and he couldn't wipe the sweat off his face because his hands were shackled behind his back. Honestly, Peter couldn't tell if he was dead or alive, and he couldn't really see his features because he had so much blood on his face. He looked about how I felt, Peter remembered.
Olivia. Just like on Junior's last trip, they were escorted to Chapo's palapa by a bunch of guys wearing military garb, carrying backpacks full of grenades, and strapped with semi-automatic weapons. Junior and Peter were trying to shake off the image of the man they'd just seen, but it wasn't easy. You've got to be heartless not to feel affected when you see someone dying. But once they got to Chapo, things couldn't have been more different. His palapa was clean, cozy, and ready for business. The roof was covered in moss, and the floor was concrete, so even though the sun was beating down, it was cool inside. El Chapo was wearing a military-style hat and a cotton button-down, not a silly silk shirt like in that photo he took with Sean Penn. He never dressed like that.
It's another video we dropped that's out there, the Sean Penn, Kate de Castillo Chapo video with the silk shirt.
He looked simple, like a rancher, not a drug lord. Instead of acting serious and skeptical, like he did when Junior had visited before, Chapo seemed happy. "It's so nice to see you," he said as he extended his hand. "Now on to business."
Mia. The mood of the meeting surprised Peter and Junior. Chapo made them feel welcome and relaxed, as if they had nothing to worry about. Chapo had the most amazing chefs. There were 4 of them who worked 15 days on and 15 days off, and they laid out a spread of fresh, homemade food. Sinaloa's on the coast, and most people from there love seafood, so there were grilled lobsters, shrimp, and oysters, plus carne asadas, fillets, T-bones, and homemade tortillas.
Boy, oh boy.
Chapo didn't really drink alcohol, so he passed Peter and Junior what he was sipping. Ice-cold glasses of agua fresca, infused with watermelon, pineapple, and strawberry.
Olivia. "Eat! You're so skinny, Pedro," said Chapo. "We just want you to feel at home here." Junior and Peter dug right in, then got to talking.
Mia. Peter started first. "My kidnapping really changed me, senor. I almost died because of someone else's mistakes, someone else's greed. I never want to put myself in that situation again."
Understand something too. These people, these women, were able to have whatever contact they were able to have with their husbands. So usually we'd be like, well, this is secondhand information. They're talking like they know. Well, pretty sure them dudes told them same way they're telling us right here. Let's go to the chat. Daniel T said, "Have you seen the video of all the kids from a children's hospital in Mexico that had received a Christmas present from El Chapo? Each present had his initials on them. JGL. No, I haven't seen that. If you're in the Discord, you could tag that, or you could drop it in the chat. I'll copy and paste it if you know where it's at. If not, I'll look for it later. Felix Reyes said, "I wonder if they're the same chefs that cooked the bodies up." Man, I'm hoping they kept them dudes separate, bro. Hopefully that was 2 different jobs and there's another 2-week shift that's bodies only. You know what I mean? Let's see what Chapo's response is to what kind of slick talk Chapo responds to Peter's suffering with.
Chapo said, "I can understand that. If my brother and I are going to do business here, We're only going to work for you. We want a direct line to you, no middlemen. We can only respond for ourselves. Chapo stared at them both, and Peter couldn't stop looking at his lazy right eye.
Looking demands.
He felt like it was almost piercing right through him. There was dead silence for a minute. Then Chapo spoke up. That's absolutely fine. I'll also offer you the same prices I give my other high-level associates. Then he stood up and shook
Thanks.
Peter and Junior's hands, a gesture that meant everything. He didn't even have to think about it. They were in, right then and there.
Olivia. The drug trade is so cutthroat. People work for years and years to get the best suppliers, the best workers, and great connections. Pretty much everyone just tries to find somewhere they can fit in, and they stay in that same place forever, making a good living but never really reaching the top. During Junior and Peter's meeting with Chapo, a handful of his associates were sitting in the room, all of whom had sweated blood and probably gotten on their hands and knees and crawled across the desert to work directly with Chapo. Like Uncle Pablo, they probably sold out their own family just to sit in that comfy, cool palapa with its huge platters of gourmet food ready for the taking. Then here come these two American boys on their first and second meeting with the boss, and suddenly they're working directly with him, no questions asked. When Chapo shook their hands, Peter and Junior looked around at the associates and could see their envy. They were standing in two lines next to Chapo, Junior, and Peter, literally on the sidelines, looking like they wanted to spit on them.
Just a whole bunch of Sammy the Bulls just lined up, but not the soft, get smacked up kind of, the kind with knives and like to use them. You know what I'm saying? All standing there looking hard, hating. They walked into a lion's den. Salute to the chat. Salute upper echelon in the chat. Let's get some hundreds in here. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Here we go.
Mia. Peter wasn't done, though. After they went through their cuentas with Chapo one more time, Peter spoke up. Senor, we've satisfied our debt to you. Chapo nodded. Yes, and you paid it fast. You charged us $10 million. As you can see from the cuentas, that's more than we owed you. True, but given the circumstances, I'm not going to argue, especially here, in your beautiful home, and with all you've done for us. I'm not going to be petty. But there's one thing you have that I want back. Chapo paused. We'll see. What's that? I want my girl's ring. It's the only thing you have that's special to me. To her. Chapo laughed. You make enough money to buy her 100 rings.
That ain't the point,
Then he
Chapo.
motioned for one of his lieutenants, whispered in his ear, and nodded his head. It's yours. You don't owe me anything for it. I'll arrange to get it back to you. And with that, Peter and Junior were dismissed.
Olivia. The next day, they flew back to Culiacan, where they were set to meet El Mayo and his son, Vicente Zambada, who handled all of Sinaloa's logistics. Two of El Mayo's other sons, Mayito Gordo and Mayito Flaco, were also there. They were called Narco Juniors because they'd been given their power by their father. Vicente and his brothers were young and hip, and they looked more like pop stars than drug lords, Vicente especially. His nickname was El Vicentillo, which translates roughly to Pretty Boy Vicente, and he was always dressed in Armani or Tom Ford suits. He was handsome, in his mid-30s with a movie star smile. In Mexico, it was unheard of for someone to have made it to the top without being born the son of a cartel boss. Yet here were these two American boys, coming out of nowhere.
Messing with the
Who
program.
have you been working with? Mayo asked. Apparently, even in the drug world, everybody needed references. We have our own organization, Junior said. We've been working with your associates for years, distributing throughout the Midwest, but we'll be working directly with you now. After hearing them out, Mayo was excited. You've got to be kidding. You've moved this much work all alone? Yes, Peter said. We've done this all ourselves. Then welcome, amigos. Mayo shook their hands.
Yeah.
Welcome to my family.
Everybody happy to be family when there's paper stacks on the end of that. That's for sure.
Mia. At the same time that Peter and Junior made the relationship with Chapo and Mayo official, they also became associates with one of Mexico's other major drug syndicate, the Beltran Leyva organization. The BLO had worked alongside the Sinaloa cartel for many years, and the two organizations gave each other work and connections. The BLO had a hierarchical structure. Its founders were the 5 Beltran Leyva brothers, and its leaders were Arturo, the boss of all bosses, Beltran, and Alfredo Mocomo Beltran Leyva. They had their lieutenants and employees below them, but they also worked with subcontractors or associates. When Junior first met with Chapo, it was Mocomo who paved the way. Well before that, the Beltran Leyvas helped Chapo's brother run the business when Chapo went to prison in 1993. Then they helped him escape in 2001. El Chapo's niece, Patricia, even married Mocomo. The two organizations were so closely intertwined that working for both wasn't a conflict for Peter and Junior. In fact, it was good for everyone.
Yeah.
More drugs into the United States meant more money all around.
And a simple family feud could put an end to the good old days. That a bitch.
Olivia. Peter and Junior needed more money fast. After all, they'd suffered over $3 million in losses over the past year. Peter's ransom hadn't been paid with a handshake and a pat on the back. They'd forked over almost $10 million in cash, jewelry, and properties, including both Guadalajara houses, the San Juan Ranch, Rolex, Chopard, and Cartier watches, several pairs of diamond earrings, a diamond necklace, diamond skull pendants, and Mia's promise ring from Peter.
Mia. Peter's Chicago kidnapping had put them in the red $3 million. The warehouse hit had cost $8.4 million when their worker Gustavo Campos was arrested. A theft by an associate named Pacman had chipped away $2 million. Sergio Gomez had put them out another $6.2 million, and Jerry had taken $600,000 when he left for Puerto Rico.
You gotta be making a lot of money to not smoke everybody, dog. To look at that as breakage, you gotta be making a lot of bread, dog. A lot of bread. It's crazy.
The losses were all part of business, though.
Shit.
We couldn't put a price tag on our lives.
Olivia. Now that they'd shaken hands with Chapo and Mayo, they were sure to make the money back. Not just that, they were ready to work their asses off to make their business grow beyond their wildest dreams.
Understand something. There's somebody right now tricking themselves off the street for $10. You know what I'm saying? So that $10 mean everything to him at that moment. You know what I mean? Somebody tricking themselves off the street for $50. When you losing 10, 15, 20 million in this breakage, you making some bread. Play games if you want to.
But it wasn't going to happen immediately. They'd spend most of 2005 pouring all their energy into their enterprise, preparing to see it explode. I knew that was going to change everything for them, but what I didn't fully realize was that it was going to turn our home life upside down, too. Believe me, it did. Because after Peter and Junior came back from their meetings with Chapo and Mayo, drug lords started appearing out of freaking nowhere. We met hundreds of new names and faces who were so deep in this cartel world.
Yeah, the guys.
Suddenly, there were guys driving up in Ferraris and Lamborghinis at all hours, then staying all day. None of it felt normal. Junior, Mia, Peter, and I grew up in a different culture. And sure, the cartels and our husbands were chasing the same thing, but we were Americans, not Mexican narcos. More than that, it all freaked me out. I thought, what is going on? What is our life coming to? Yet I couldn't do anything. I'd pushed for years for Junior to leave the trade, but when the cartels started coming by, I stopped asking.
That was concrete.
I knew Junior and Peter were in so deep there was no way they could get out.
Facts.
Now that doors were opening up, word was spreading, and connections were being made. So much money began pouring in that it was clear they were becoming one of Sinaloa's biggest assets. By the middle of 2005, Junior and Peter were in too deep. And when bad things started to happen in our personal lives, it became clear there was no way in hell they were getting out.
Crazy. That's chapter 13, y'all. But yeah, man, that's a lot of bread. They was in deep. Think about it. That was breakage before they had even solidified the Silk Road between Mexico and the U.S. You know what I'm saying? Before they solidified that, that was already breakage for them, what they was losing with all of these hits that they were taking. You know what I mean? So, Felix Reyes said, facts, couldn't be me. Couldn't be me either. Boy, I need my $3 million, man. J Diz said $10 is $10. I agree with that one too. A sawbuck is a sawbuck. Leave my money alone. Chucky Chingon on the check-in. Salutes to you, Mr. Chucky Chingon. Hit the hundreds for you. Welcome back. We chilling for a bit. That was chapter 13. That was chapter 13. Yeah. So they sat down, they met. Listen, that wasn't their interview. That was their orientation. You know what I'm saying? The interview was what they just went through. Their interview was, you know, it wasn't, you would think that all the work that they was pushing would have got them on Chapo's radar much better, you know what I'm saying, than having to meet him through, I'm coming to rescue my brother from a position that some greedy old rat put him in. You know what I'm saying? You would think it would have got to him. Hey man, there's these guys, man. They moving a lot of work in Chicago. Oh, I should talk to them. No, it has to come through a $10 million debt and a kidnapping. You know what I'm saying? And trips to the mountains on a beat up Cessna driven by a 12-year-old or something. You know what I'm saying? Or flown by a 12-year-old or something. But it's how it happened. So that was their interview. The way they handled that, the ledgers, you know, just the way they paid, all of that was the interview. Once they got there, it was like, all right, orientation time. Let's see how they handle this part. Come, everybody's happy because they see what the road lies ahead. It's a Silk Road of money that was up ahead. You know what I'm saying? While the other guys, while everybody around them was looking at them with the hate in their eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like Robert Loggia in The Sopranos, the poker game, standing in the back, just ice grilling them with a butter knife. You know what I mean? So, yeah, a lot of haters was out there, but the big wigs, they knew what they had. They had a Silk Road. But again, that's a lot of breakage, so you got to be making a lot of bread for that to be considered, you know. I'm sure every dollar hurts, but, you know, to consider it, hey, man, we'll put everything in jeopardy if we go chasing after that right now. So, and I'm sure everything didn't slide. Chucky Chingong in the chat said all those losses added up to 10 mil. Lupe wanted his paper, saw them flossing, said run it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but they had their way of handling that, and I'm sure they would have came up with the money. But Buddy put the halt to that. Because again, they had their way of doing things. They said in the Surviving El Chapo podcast that when things like that would happen and things like that would go bad, they would shut everything down and then get control of the situation. It's kind of like, I don't know where I was hearing it. I don't know when it was. Something about, oh no, it was in Finnegan's Take. They were talking about a firefighter who was condemned because there was a fire at a school, and rather than save kids, he was fighting the fire. You know what I'm saying? There was a priority that had to happen right there, you know? With them, it was like, all right, when we get hit like this, we shut everything down so we know where the leaks is coming from. Because when you don't, that's what happens. You got the guy at this spot taking your money. That guy's taking your money. That guy's taking your money. Next thing you know, everybody got your money. But Tio Lupe was like, no, we're not going to stop nothing. Matter of fact, we're going to keep things going and you're going to just hand it over to me because I think it should belong to me anyway. So it is what it is. But that all led to them having that interview, which that's what it was. And then now this episode, they was in the orientation. Let's go have these conversations. Let's go have these talks. The guys made themselves clear. I wanna deal with you direct, because anything else is leaving me in the hands of another greedy fool that might do the same thing to me again, you know? All right, man, let's move on to chapter 14. I appreciate y'all for being here. Please hit the like button. Salutes to the 21 viewers in the audience. I appreciate y'all. Hit the like button for me, please. I'll give you some ASMR. Start whispering and shit on the mic.
Chapter 12. For
My ASMR is yelling and cursing and shit. Can't curse too much because YouTube is on my back.
better or for worse. Olivia. When I was in middle school, I was always asking my mom permission to go out. I hung out with older girls who were allowed to go to parties all the time, but I wasn't, so I had to beg my mom whenever something came up. I'd say, "But please, Mom, tonight's gonna be the biggest, baddest party." "Maybe next time,"
Until next
she'd
week's
respond.
biggest, baddest party.
Every weekend, I'd get a new flyer advertising some huge event, waving it in front of her and say, "But it's the biggest, baddest party." Sometimes, she'd let me go and my dad would pick me up. But when she didn't, I'd act like it was the end of the world. I'd lock myself in my room and tell her, "I can't wait till I'm 18 and can move out." It pissed her off to no end then, but that's all in the past. Now, my family's favorite saying is, "It's gonna be the biggest, baddest party." A memorable celebration was exactly what Junior and I wanted for our wedding on June 12th, 2005. It was his birthday and exactly 1 year after we'd gotten engaged. The theme was all white, and I'd flown to New York City to pick out a Versace wedding dress and a Ferragamo suit for Junior. While I was shopping, I got so caught up in the moment that I bought an all-white Burberry suit for Peter, too. Junior and I planned to get married in Puerto Vallarta, right on the beach, near where we'd gotten engaged, and we'd hired an over-the-top wedding planner to put together all the details for the ceremony and reception. We'd bought hundreds of white butterflies and white doves, and we were setting up a fireworks display that would last for almost an hour. We'd flown about 100 family, friends, and associates down from Chicago, and we rented a block of rooms in the Four Seasons. We had an itinerary that lasted all weekend. We had dinner restaurants picked. We were going to go swimming with the dolphins one afternoon. There was the wedding, and then the reception. It was going to be the biggest, baddest party anyone had ever seen. Then, 2 days before it was set to start, with everyone checked into their hotel suites and me back in our beach house going over last-minute details, Junior walked in with a look of dread on his face. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Peter wants us to cancel the wedding." "What the hell do you mean?" At that point, he might as well have asked me to stop being pregnant. The train had left the station as far as I was concerned. I was sure Peter was just jealous because he was too much of a pussy to ask me to marry him. Or maybe he was feeling so sorry for himself that he just couldn't stand to see his brother happy.
Damn.
I didn't mean any of this. I loved Peter, but I was still pissed. He just heard that a lot of guys on the street in Chicago. What the hell do you mean?
Hold on.
At that point, he might as well have asked me to stop being pregnant. The train had left the station as far as I was concerned. I was sure Peter was just jealous because he was too much of a pussy to ask me to marry him. Or maybe he was feeling so sorry for himself that he just couldn't stand to see his brother happy. I didn't mean any of this. I loved Peter, But I was still pissed.
So why was it?
He just heard that a lot of guys on the street in Chicago have been talking about our wedding, and now he has a bad feeling in his gut, Junior said. What if one of them decides to tell on us? We're fugitives, remember? He took me in his arms. I want nothing.
Yes, please. Please. Stop inviting people to the party, man. Especially people from home. Like, listen, there was no internet back then. I mean, there was internet, but there was no, you couldn't watch them live on YouTube. But now everybody didn't have to be there. Everybody in Mexico probably needed to be there. But all the criminals, everybody else that was on the run, they was allowed to be there. But bringing people from home, it's a bad look.
Nothing more than to marry you this weekend, Liv. But I can't just think of myself. I'll be jeopardizing my brother, too. He can go fuck himself. I don't think I'd ever felt so hurt. Junior might as well have left me standing at the altar in my wedding dress, with my pregnant belly sticking out for everyone to see.
The drama.
I stood in front of him with my arms crossed, looking like I wanted to kill someone. And then I started thinking, what if I'm in the middle of saying my vows, and the feds bust in and drag Junior and Peter out in handcuffs?
There it is.
I wouldn't be able to forgive myself. What if my poor mom and dad, who've flown all the way from Chicago, and my teenage son, who's gone through so much in his life, are caught in the middle of a sting? As hard as we'd tried to swear our friends to secrecy, one of them might have let something slip.
Pillow
I
talk.
realized right then I was being selfish. Junior and Peter's situation sucked, but it was a part of my life now. But how was I going to tell my family and friends? I still hadn't revealed to my parents what Junior did for a living. I wanted so badly for my dad to see what I saw in Junior, and if he knew Junior was a fugitive, he'd never see past that.
That's you juggling a million lion ass plates right there, man. You juggling, man. That's a lot. They don't know the game. They don't know the game. They don't know y'all on the run, and they're coming to a fugitive wedding, and that's a situation for your father. Father or not, you think he a cop, probably father first, but I'm sure he don't want to come to no fugitive wedding. And that, like you said, if they would have busted up in there, the cat would have been out the bag. I wonder when the cat did end up out the bag. I wish I'd have asked that question.
I
For the
thought about
parents.
it and decided I'd do what any woman in my shoes would do. I'd continue lying to all of them. Junior's dad got into a really bad car accident, I announced in front of everyone at dinner the night before my wedding. And we have to cancel our wedding. Junior had to go back to San Juan. As I stood there, alone, with hundreds of eyes just staring at my little belly, I don't think I'd ever felt so ashamed and humiliated. I couldn't hold it together, and I started bawling my eyes out. I've never been one to feel sorry for myself, but at that moment, I didn't just pity myself. I felt bad for my baby, too. All I ever wanted was to be happily married, to have a family, and most importantly, to have stability for them. Yet here I was, canceling my wedding because my husband-to-be was a fugitive. Our magical weekend came and went, and by Monday, everyone started leaving Mexico one by one. My immediate family stayed, though. They'd taken extra time off work and decided to make a vacation out of it. Suddenly, I had an idea, and I ran into our beach house where Junior and Peter were hiding out. Guys, what if we have the wedding on Wednesday? My family's still here, and the wedding planner could make it happen. It'll just be smaller.
Bruh.
It's brilliant, Junior said, and he
Genius.
broke out in this great big smile. Peter wasn't convinced, though. We're still not safe. They could still find us. From the look on my face, anyone could see I was upset. I couldn't believe I still had to convince Peter. I'd even started doubting if he wanted me to marry his twin brother. Maybe he didn't think I was good enough for him?
Maybe he
wanted someone...
Maybe he just thought, this is women, take this one. Maybe he just thought that somebody could have let the address go or let the information out and it can get hit by... Maybe that was just it. That's what he said he was. That's the problem with us as humans. We go looking for another answer. If it's not the answer that serves us or that we think should be the answer, we go looking for another answer. The answer was he felt like it could have been compromised. Period. You know? Shout out Sarah Lee in the chat. She said, for real, cops like Finnegan even lock up grandmas. Exactly. They be locking up free grandma. You know what I'm saying? Free grandma. Finnegan locking up grandma. So they'd have gone in there and the feds would have took her father. What kind of look is that for him? You know what I mean? But, you know, people, not just ladies, people. He gave you the answer. The answer was what the answer was. Unless there's something I don't know. Salute Adrian Torres in the chat. Yo, Shy, salute to you, bro. But yeah, that was the answer. The answer is it might get compromised. Why would we do that? The second way, the way you had that wedding set up where it was small and it was just the people in Mexico, that's something that you should have just done from the jump. This whole big ball, you know, that you was having with people from the Shy that don't even know y'all on the run, that's bananas.
Gentler and softer. Someone more like Mia? I didn't know why he couldn't see that I loved Junior, that we wanted to be married. Peter wasn't convinced, though. We're still not safe. They could still find us.
Free the abuelitas. Salute JP the Ghost. Free the abuelitas. Free grandma. Hashtag
From the look on my
grandma.
face, anyone could see I was upset. I couldn't believe I still had to convince Peter. I'd even started doubting if he wanted me to marry his twin brother. Maybe he didn't think I was good enough for him? Maybe he wanted someone gentler and softer, someone more like Mia? I didn't know why he couldn't see that I loved Junior, that we wanted to be married more than anything, and that we weren't going to take no for an answer.
None of that. He didn't say
Luckily,
none of that.
I'd already thought through Peter's concerns. If the feds didn't show up yesterday, I said, they're obviously not coming. Yeah, he finally admitted. I guess you're right. 2 days later, our wedding turned out even more beautiful than I imagined it would be. We moved everything to a 12-bedroom luxury estate in Punta Mita, which was on an exclusive beach called Los Ranchos on the outskirts of Puerto Vallarta. The house was right next door to the estate of Joe Francis, the guy who created Girls Gone Wild and where the Kardashians now vacation. The beach estate was completely draped with white orchids. The pool had floating candles in it, with white swans swimming all around. All the mariachis dressed in white, and Peter and Mia gifted us 2 white dancing horses, which we took pictures with on the beach in front of the breathtaking gazebo. Samantha and Sasha were the flower girls, dressed in white, of course. Xavier was the ring bearer, Peter was the best man, and my sister was the maid of honor. Junior wrote the most beautiful vows that melted my heart, and we released 2 white doves to represent eternal love. Our guests released hundreds of white butterflies, and it literally looked like it was snowing. After dinner, Peter asked for the mic, and I held my breath. Peter could be unpredictable, and after what we'd been through over the weekend, I wasn't sure how he even felt about me. But he called us over to him, then looked us both in the eyes and started talking. Today, I am not losing my brother. I am gaining a sister, he said as he turned to me. Liv, thank you for being so good to Junior.
Viste.
Hearing those words,
Ya cállate.
I didn't just breathe a sigh of relief.
Be
I
quiet,
felt
see?
true joy. I realized he'd just been worried.
He loves you.
I'd be paranoid too, I thought, if I'd gone through half the shit he has. That night, we had the time of our lives. We were so blessed to have our children there, both our families, and only our closest friends. I was so happy it was just the people we cared about. It was beautiful and intimate. And I realized it didn't have to be the biggest, baddest party.
Period.
It was perfect just because I married Junior.
That's how it needed to be. But you probably could have left your family at home because, you know, you put them in a position. Shout out Chucky in the chat. He said, I wonder if Kato's homies were salty when they hooked up so quick. Maybe that's what Peter was worried about, the get back. I mean, he could have been worried about the get back from, a bunch of different places. Just could have been somebody salty about that. Could have been somebody salty about, what they got, where they're at, anything. Just get information is dangerous, you know what I'm saying? And we frivolously hand it out, and that be the problem. That be my complaint when you're in a criminal enterprise. It's like there's P's and Q's you gotta be on. I look at the Chapo, Kate de Castillo, Sean Penn thing. It's like everybody compromised each other. You know, it wasn't a safe thing to do, but sometimes we don't move like that. Sometimes we move on the edge. We live on the edge. But you're right. It could have been anything. It could have been anything from the hood. That's the thing. Home is where you're gonna have the most haters. You know. So if everybody in the town, now here's what I'm surprised about. I'm surprised nobody in the town came, and I'm sure that they heard the rumors, and her parents couldn't. Either one of their parents, ain't no dummies there. They knew what was going on. They just refused to see it until they was forced to see it, I guess. You know, because she was juggling them lion-ass plates from what we're reading here, from what we're hearing here. Appreciate y'all being here. Salutes to y'all. Hit the like button, please. Thank you for being here. Here we go.
Mia. I'm not a twin, so I can't say exactly how it must be to be that close to someone. But when Peter toasted Junior and Olivia, I witnessed something really profound. Honestly, if Junior and Peter hadn't had me and Olivia in their lives, I think they would be just as happy with each other, alone. They aren't just identical. They're practically the same person. It was hard for Peter to watch his brother get married, though. He was still paranoid and damaged from the kidnapping, and I think he was worried that Olivia was somehow taking his place. Sure, he and Junior had lived apart and had relationships and kids that took them away from each other, but this time, it felt final. Still, Peter knew that Olivia was the most perfect woman in the world for Junior, and because of that, he was truly happy for him. Seeing Junior so lucky made him lucky. I hoped I could make him feel half as good someday. With my promise ring back on my finger, Peter had made it clear it was what he wanted too. I knew we'd be engaged soon, and it was what I wanted more than anything. I longed for the same happiness and commitment Olivia and Junior felt at their wedding.
Olivia. Peter and Mia were the most madly in love couple in the room that night, aside from me and Junior, of course. I remember seeing them dance all night, looking at each other like they were the only people on earth. Even if Peter was sad because he was giving his brother up, he was getting something too, and that was Mia.
Mia. Peter had never promised me anything. Even when he gave me my promise ring, he didn't say, "We're going to be together forever." Knowing everything he'd been through, I realized he didn't want to lie to me, because this life had no guarantees. Everyone I'd ever dated had sold me a pack of lies, but not Peter. He refused to even promise me a future. And to most girls that would be depressing, but I needed that honesty. That summer, in 2005, Peter got better day by day, even though he still had nightmares. He was terrified of being in Guadalajara, since Uncle Pablo knew where we lived. So
You would think Uncle Pablo got dealt with already, you know what I'm saying? Evidently he had not. But yeah, man, he went through a lot. That's a lot. That don't just go away overnight, you know what I'm saying? And again, if his brother was getting married, I mean, you got a girl too, bro. Everybody happy, man.
Peter started pressing Olivia and Junior to move from there to be with us, and we took some time off to scout different cities to live in. Finally, the four of us decided to move into our beach house in Puerto Vallarta. All through October, Peter and I walked on the beach every single night. It wasn't humid, so you could let the breeze blow past you and never get sticky. The sea turtles were laying their eggs, so we had to be careful not to step on them as we tiptoed through the sand. One evening, we were strolling hand in hand, looking for eggs one minute and staring up at the stars the next. Suddenly, Peter fell to the ground. "Are you okay?" I asked.
Gotcha.
Then I realized he was on one knee. "Mia, I love you more than anything in this world," he said. "Will you marry me?" Without pausing for 1 second to look at the massive ring he was holding, I screamed, "Yes!"
I
"I don't want to wait," he said. "I want to do it as soon as possible." We didn't waste any time. We spent the next 2 months planning the wedding of our dreams, a black tie beach ceremony. My parents hadn't visited us yet, and this was going to be their first time seeing my new world. Even though I talked to them all the time, I still hadn't told them the truth about what Peter did. But they had their suspicions.
I'm sure
they just didn't want me to turn away from them, so they never pressed me on it. Instead, they'd say things to me like, "Just be safe. You have to be careful all the time." I always wanted them to see me happy, to see how wonderful my life was going to be, so every detail of my wedding was important to me. To Peter, too. I'd never seen him so excited. We couldn't wait to be married forever. And on December 10th, 2005, we were ready to say I do.
Do y'all remember how this ended? This poor Peter, boy. Buddy can't catch a break. All right? He went over there, tried to shut down the wedding. Barely shut down the wedding. It turned into a wedding anyway. Now it's his turn to get married. And if y'all in the chat, y'all remember where this went. I'm not going to say nothing. Because if you haven't experienced it yet, she probably tell it better than Surviving El Chapo did. We'll see.
Olivia. I was about to pop, scheduled to have a C-section in 10 days. But that wasn't going to stop me from helping out as much as I could. Mia wanted to have a traditional wedding. You know, the whole big white Cinderella dress thing, and it was going to be amazing. She ordered a ton of orchids from Colombia, and they were everywhere. On the tables in the ballroom where the reception would be, decorating the gazebo on the beach where they'd say their vows, and scattered on the high tops where they'd have their cocktail hour. There was a violinist trying to figure out the best place on the beach to stand, and about 3 mariachi bands filing into the ballroom, which was draped top to bottom in satin sheets. I was waddling around, thinking to myself, holy shit, this makes our wedding look like a beach party. Then I decided to go back to our house to see if Mia needed anything. I made it into her bedroom after what felt like 20 minutes, and she was sitting on the bed in her wedding dress, sobbing. Peter was nowhere in sight. Oh my God, what's wrong? The wedding's off. Mia could hardly get the words out. What do you mean? Mia was a mess, crying and holding this balled-up tissue that she was dabbing her face with so she wouldn't ruin her makeup. They're being extorted. Peter's off dealing with it now, and I don't know when he'll be back.
Mia. The whole situation was a fucking disaster. But honestly, we should have seen it coming. What happened? Let me start at the beginning with the players involved. We had a chef named Luis at our Puerto Vallarta house, and I'd never trusted him. When you're in the presence of a person who isn't wholesome or genuine, you feel it. And that was the case with this guy. He hadn't ever done anything to me, but I still hated him. He was so proud, walking around all day in his cordon bleu smock, and I didn't want him cooking my food. I didn't even like looking at him.
Damn.
I'd been so close to begging Peter to fire him 100 times, but I had no proof of anything, so I'd backed off. Peter had spoiled me so rotten that I had a tendency to be a brat sometimes. And I'd finally come to my senses and decided I'm not going to be like that anymore. I'm a grown woman and I'm going to act like one. We also had a property management company, because that's what you do when you have a huge beach house and you're not there all the time. They cut your grass, they water your trees, and apparently they cozy up to your staff, including your backstabbing chef. A few weeks before...
She smelled that chef. Salute to the chat. Salute to Billy Finnegan. Billy Finnegan, I know you've been following for a while, subscribed for a while now. You any relation to Jerome Finnegan? Because now we're covering Finnegan's take. Salute to you, though. Appreciate you being here. Thank you.
For our wedding, Peter had to go to the immigration office to get the proper documentation necessary for our marriage license. While he was there, he noticed a customs agent sizing him up. Peter thought he recognized him, but he wasn't sure who it could be. He brushed it off and came home. It turns out the customs agent's side job was working for our property management company, and he'd been tipped off by Luis that Peter was coming by for a permit. The chef knew that Peter wasn't clean, so he pressed the agent to do a little research, and sure enough, he discovered Junior and Peter were fugitives. What do you do with wanted men? You either call the United States and ship their asses back, or you extort money from them. On the morning of our wedding, I was standing in my room in my wedding dress, looking at myself in the mirror. I was thinking, this is absolutely the best day of my life.
Damn, while her husband and her brother-in-law getting shook down.
The man of my dreams, who treats me like a queen and loves me as much as I love him, is going to be my husband. I'm going to be by his side for the rest of my life. Then, suddenly, I overheard men talking loudly right outside my door. They were angry, and their voices were getting really loud, like they were about to start fighting. I couldn't figure out what the hell could be going on, so I peeked out the door with my huge Cinderella dress wedged right in next to me. I saw Peter standing there with 2 Mexican customs agents in full uniform. Right next to them was that piece of shit chef, Luis. "Stay in the room," Luis said, glaring at me. "Stay in there." He slammed the door shut in my face. I was too shocked even to be upset. I just knew that something bad was happening if 2 customs agents were there, so I had to think fast. I grabbed Peter's briefcases, which held all his ledgers, and scooped up all the phones that were sitting around the room. My dress probably weighed 30 pounds, but I moved fast. I ran into the bathroom, propped myself up on the vanity, and lifted up the window. There were a few huge bushes on the side of the house right below me, and I opened up the briefcases and began dumping
She cleaning up shop in a wedding dress.
out all the ledgers, phones, and anything else that was in there. Then I ran back to the door, my dress flopping all around me, opened it, and saw the customs agent holding a wanted photo that looked like it had been printed off the internet. Peter and Junior's faces were right there on it, one right next to the other. I slammed the door and stood there in disbelief. This is it, I thought. Peter's going to prison on our wedding day. Through my heaving and gasping, I could hear what was happening outside. "Give us $1 million or the U.S. Marshals are coming for both of you," said the customs agent. "We'll take it in increments," added Luis. Even though I was practically hysterical, I saw right through their bullshit. Yeah, right, I said to myself. When they get a taste of even just a little bit of that money, they'll be back for more. And they'll keep coming back forever. Peter sounded furious, but he was measured. "Look," he said, "I'll give you $100,000 now, and the rest when I get back to Guadalajara." He paused. "It's my wedding day, and I have to pay for everything. So just let me get married, and I'll give you the money later in the week." When everything got really quiet, I knew a deal had been struck.
Back up off my wedding,
Just
bruh.
like that, another $1 million was gone. And so was Peter.
Olivia. While I was sitting on the bed with Mia, holding her and telling her everything was going to be okay, I really believed there was no way Peter would make it back in time. They're getting married in an hour, I thought. This shit has to wrap up fast. I didn't tell Mia, but I wasn't sure Peter was really thinking things through either. I mean, he'd canceled my wedding just by a thought, and now here he was, being extorted an hour before his wedding, and everything was just going to be okay? In my mind, he was putting himself and Junior at risk. Too big a risk. But remembering the nightmare I'd gone through...
Why? Because he's giving him the bread and continuing his wedding? I don't know what he should have done, or maybe I'm reading it wrong.
I couldn't stand to have me experience something similar. I just didn't have it in my heart to dash her hopes, so I kept my mouth shut. Luckily, I was wrong. About half an hour later, Junior walked into the room, looked at both of us sitting on the bed, and smiled. It's settled. he said. Mia let out a little gasp. Where's Peter? He's outside. Let's go. We have a wedding to attend.
Jeez.
Then he pulled Mia up to his right side
Party
and me
time.
to his left side. All together, linking arms, we walked away.
Mia. Regardless of everything that happened, Peter and I had the wedding of our dreams. Our night was filled with nothing but love and happiness, and we partied into the morning hours. When my family talks about that weekend, they always say it was the most beautiful wedding we've ever been to. As for me, I wasn't just happy because I had a fairy tale wedding with my handsome prince. I was over the moon because I became Mrs. Flores.
There it is. All them parties, boy. All them parties, all them beautiful weddings, nice cars. Got all them haters out there with their hands out. Talking about come get some. So that was chapter 14. It was all weddings and paranoia and you know, paying attention and getting shook down. Salutes to Billy Finnegan. You retracted that, but I seen it, sir. But I appreciate you for being here. Stay tuned. I'm not gonna ask you what kind of relations. I'll leave that up to you. You have to Mr. Jerome Finnegan. But I will be covering Finnegan's Take. We started with episode 1. We started with the paperwork party, and then we did episode 1, and we will continue to cover Finnegan's Take. And I appreciate you being here. I'm not sure how you're gonna feel about my opinion, but at the end of the day, it's what it is. It's my opinion. But we will be covering it here. I appreciate you being here. Salutes to you. Be a pal. Hit that like button. Everybody else, I appreciate you guys too. Thank you for being here. I mean, Cartel Wives was decent today. We got the what's the word? The orientation. You know, with the Mayo and with all the haters all around. You know, and we got a bunch of weddings. Got a little bit of extortion. You know, so. Again, this story they went into with more detail in Surviving El Chapo. This was a different perspective, though. Appreciate you, Billy Finnegan. Thank you very much, bro. We will be here. We will be covering it. But yeah, so they had weddings. They was, you know, Peter was worried about the weddings and worried about he might have been right. You know what I'm saying? You never know what's gonna happen. Again, it was, you know, big money was part of their calling card, but now they were in Mexico, and the haters over there are probably even. All haters are universal, but they're probably a little bit different in Mexico, you know. Especially those guys in those positions with those badges, and the guys without badges, and it's a rough game to play. And when they see you with your safe open, they on your ass. Oh, you getting married today, bro? Cool, yeah, run that, hand out. They said we'll take increments, but we need that $1 million. Peter was like, yo, I'm getting married today. Take this and get out my face, man. Get off my beach. You know what I mean? Get off my beach. All right, y'all. That's it for today for Cartel Wives. Not sure if we're going to go live tomorrow. Depends how the editing goes. But if I find a little time and y'all want to hang out, we'll hang out and look for something else to get into. Maybe we could jump into another Finnegan's Take. We'll see what it looks like. I know the weekend's here. Everybody's busy with the holidays and getting all their affairs in order. So I hope y'all have a good time. Be safe out there. Be safe during the hubbub of the last minute Christmas shopping. If you guys don't see me before then, which I doubt, if I don't see none of y'all, you know, have a good time with your families during the holiday and enjoy it. You know what I mean? Life's too short to have a headache over bullshit. You know what I mean? I appreciate you guys. It's been a pleasure covering all this with you. I appreciate the hundreds in the chat. So let's get them hundreds in the chat before we get out of here. If you didn't hit the like button on the way in, hit it on the way out. And man, we'll do it again soon. I'm gonna finish editing these joints up, get these out, and we'll go from there. Thank you guys very much. Have a good night. Peace.